of the Chaos movement phase for turn number 4. So moves first. Berserkers have just moved forward over here, and the Rhino that was in the little cubby hole between this building and this turret has just moved around the corner. Cultists have moved up. The Lord on Juggernaut has moved around to this side of the building. The Berserkers have advanced into the central area, so that gives the Chaos side line breaker, and the Hellbrutes have moved in to the central area as well, and then the Raptors have advanced to get within relatively easy charge range of the Intercessors. So that's the end of movement. In terms of units coming back onto the table, we have rolled 4 times and we've managed to get the 10 cultists and the 10 bloodletters back on. However, the Helldrake and the Sorcerer both failed their rolls, so they are not coming back on this turn. So that's the end of movement. There is no psychic phase because there's no psyker on the board currently for Chaos, so shooting is next. Okay, so shooting for Khorne for turn number 4. First we're going to start off with the Berserkers here. There's 10 shots going into this squad of Space Marines, so 10 shots hitting on 3s. So that's, what's that, 6 hits, so 4s to wound, 4 wounds, and 3 up saves. Okay, so 1 dead Space Marine from that squad. Next, the Terminators. So we'll do the 2 Storm Bolters first. So that's 4 shots into that squad, hitting on, well, there you go, 3 hits, 4s to wound, 2 wounds, and 3 up saves. So that's another one gone. That guy there. And we've then got the Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon, except it's not. Hold on a minute. So my mistake, that's an Assault Cannon, so it's heavy 6, so 3 shots. These will be hitting on 4s, 3 hits. Strength is 8, so it's a 2 to wound, 2 wounds, and they get their 3 up save. Actually, it's -1 AP, so it is a 4 up save, so that's still another one gone. And then finally, we've got this guy at the back here who has the multi-melter. So this is just 1 shot, and it's a super miss. Okay, so that's the end of shooting for these guys. We've then got the Stormbolter on this Rhino, which again is going to shoot at this squad just here. So that's 2 shots hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, and that's another one gone. So we'll take the missile launcher guy. Okay, and then we've got these guys over here. So these are, I think, 24-inch range. So let me just have a look. Yeah, so 24-inch range on the auto guns, of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 shots hitting on 4s. This is into that same Space Marine squad, just so you know. And wounding on 5s. Okay, so 3 ups, and they're all good. And then we've got the heavy stubber, which is heavy 3, so these are hitting on 5s. No hits. Okay, that's that squad done. Then got the Desolate ones shooting into the Devastators. So that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 11 shots hitting on a 3. Okay, and wounding on a 4 with a 3 up save. Right, that's 1 dead. There we go. Cultists next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 auto guns into that same squad. So these guys are hitting on 4s and they are wounding on 5s. Nope. Okay, and then plasma pistol on this guy. He's going to shoot at character on character, isn't it? So he's going to shoot at the librarian. So it's 1 shot. That hits. Strength 8. So that's a 3 to wound. That's a wound. It's -2 AP. So it's a 5 up save. It's not saved. And it's 1 damage. So that's 1 damage on the librarian. Just go back to these guys because I didn't do the heavy stubber. So into the same squad, going into the Devastators. So heavy 3. That's 1 hit. 5 to wound. No wound. Okay. Moving round to the Raptors next. So first things first, we've got 2 bolt pistols. These are going into the intercessors. So 2 bolt pistols, hitting on 3s, winning on 4s, 3 up save, saved. Then got 1 plasma pistol, same thing, into the intercessors, hitting on a 3, wounding on a 3, no wound. And then we've got 2 plasma guns. So just check the profile for those. I'll be right back. Ooh. Okay, so they're rapid fire. So it's 4 shots, hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit. Wounding on a 3. That wounds. 6 up to save. And it's 1 damage. So that's 1 wound off of the intercessors. Okay, next we've got the 2 hell brutes. Now the lighter coloured one, this one is in range for the flamer. This one is out of range for the flamer. So we're going to do the flamer first. So D6 auto hits for 1. And that wounds. And it needs a 4 to save, and it's saved. Okay, we're then going to do the multi-melters. So 2 shots into the same squad. Both hit. 1 wound. 6 up save. Not saved. So that is another dead fella. There we go. That is the end of shooting for Chaos. So we are looking at charges next. Start the charge phase for Chaos for turn number 4. First things first, just going to get this charge out of the way. The Lord and the Chaos Space Marines are going to charge into the Rhino. Lord first, no problem at all, and no problem at all. So they are all in. Oh, it's so fiddly. Oh, there we go. So those guys are in. And we are going to charge this hell brute into that captain. That is Aldous himself. So he's got a storm bolter and he hasn't moved, so he's getting 4 shots which are hitting on 6s, and he doesn't hit with any of them. The charge is a 7, and I think that's enough. Oh yeah. So turn round, Aldous, look what's coming. So he is now in combat. This guy really I guess needs to get to within an inch of this guy. But I want to keep his melter and his flamer free. So he's going to stay where he is for now. We might move him in the next turn. Okay, so that's that charge over. Desolate ones are going to charge into the heavies in the centre. So we've got 2 las cannons and a heavy bolter in there. Las cannons first. No hits. Heavy bolter is 3 shots. No hits. Charge. Easily in. So I'm going to wrap these guys around because they've rolled a 9. So plenty of flexibility. And then just pop those guys in at the back. There we go. Okay, and finally, these, well, not finally, but the Raptors are going to charge into the intercessors. So there's 10 shots coming at them from the intercessors. Whoops. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. So 10 shots hitting on 6s. Okay, so we've got 1 hit. That's 4 to wound. Doesn't wound. Charge should be nice and easy. Yeah, so those guys are in. And what we're going to do is, whoops, not balance them on there. They're not going to balance on there. So what we'll do is we're going to put them this side of the pipe, like so. Apart from him, he's going to go up there. And he is going to go, hopefully, right there. So they are now in combat. Okay, and then we're going to go around the other side, and we've got a rhino just here that is going to charge into this Space Marine squad. So first things first, we've got a flamer which gets 6 auto hits. This wounds on a 5. So there's 3 wounds in there. And flamers are they -1? No, flamers have no AP. I should have remembered that really. So these are going to be a 3-up save, and they are all saved. We've then got what have we got? 2, 3 bolter shots, 1 hit, 5 to wound, no wound. And we've then got the missile launcher. Now that is going to fire a crack missile. It only gets 1 shot, which doesn't hit. Charge easily. So that guy is, we'll just put him up there like that. There you go. He's now in combat. And then we've got options here. I've got the berserkers, which potentially could charge into these 2, make easy work of them, or they could charge across to that dreadnought. And we've also got the terminators who potentially could charge into these 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge the terminators into the Space Marines, and then we're going to try and get the berserkers into that dreadnought. So flamer first, gets 1 auto hit, doesn't wound. Then we've got a bolt pistol I should say, which misses. So charge, they're easily in even though there's a barricade in the way. So these guys can just mosey on over like so. Good, okay, and then berserkers are going to charge into the dreadnought. So the dreadnought gets its twin las cannon, which does not hit. The flamer, I believe, is out of range. I will just check. Yep, so the flamer is about 1 inch out of range. So charge, get an 11. That is successful. There's about 9.5 inches between the two, so we can get certainly around to there. Now this is where I understand the argument about 25mm bases come in, because with a 25mm base, obviously you can get more models in to a smaller area. However, not with Khorne Berserkers you can't, because their guns and their swords make it quite difficult. So there we go, that's probably a little bit more than an inch required. There we go. So in terms of combat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are in close combat range. So that's the end of charges. Fight phase is coming up. So we're going to start over here. War bikes are going to put 4 attacks into the intercessors. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4 hits, wounding on 3s, 3 wounds with a 3-up save. Okay, so that is 1 dead intercessor. That guy there is on 1 wound. So we'll take him out and I'll just move him up a little bit. Okay then. We've then got the Space Marines. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 attacks hitting on 3s. This is going into the Rhino. What's that? That's a 5. Miss, miss, miss. And wounding on 5s. 2 wounds with a 3-up save, both saved. And then the Chaos Lord, who gets 4 attacks. Yeah, 4 attacks which hit on 2s. And then wound on a 5. And it's -4 AP, I believe. It's actually -3 AP because he's not fighting a character. So it's a 6-up save, which is failed, and that does 1 damage. So that guy is down to 2 wounds. Okay, so Rhino is going to hit back. It's going to go for the war bikes. We've got 3 attacks hitting on 6s, no hits. We've then got the intercessors who are going to hit back at the war bikes. 5 attacks hitting on 3s. That's a 3 under there. So they've got a captain within 6 inches, so there you go, 5 hits, wounding on 5s, that's 1 wound with a 3-up, not saved. Okay, so there is 1 war bike gone. Small mercies, there we go. Oh, he's out of the picture. Okay, we're going to do the captain and the Hellbrute next. So the Hellbrute has 4 attacks hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, it's -3 AP, that is saved. Captain gets 4 attacks hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s. Okay, 3 wounds. This is -3 AP, so that's a 6-up save. That does flat 1 damage each, so Hellbrute is down to 3 wounds. Right, next we'll do the Berserkers and the Dreadnought. So I kind of had to do that all off camera because it's 27 dice being rolled for the first attack, which did no damage, and well, 1 wound, but that was saved. And then the Dreadnought fought back, did no damage, and then the Berserkers get to fight again, obviously, with the same bunch of rolls, managed to take 2 wounds off, so that Dreadnought is now down to 4 wounds. Not enough hands to conduct that roll, unfortunately. So that's that combat over. We'll do the 2 rhinos next. So 3 hits for 6s, that's 1 hit, so 4 to wound. Doesn't wound, that was the chaos. So the Space Marines, 1 hit, 4 to wound, causes a wound, 3 up save. Oh, it's not saved. Now that rhino has 1 wound left. Does it explode? No, it does not. Okay, there we go. Success. Right, so Terminator's next. Let's look at how they perform. Right, so we're going for the Power Maul first, which is here. This is the Sergeant. So that's 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 2 hits. That's strength plus 2. Sorry about the little interruption. Strength plus 2. So strength 6 versus toughness 4. 3s to wound. That's 1 wound. Minus 1 AP. So that's a 4 up save, which is saved. Okay, we've then got Power Axe on this fella just here. So he's got 2 attacks hitting on 3s, both hit, wounding on 4s, no wounds. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lightning claws. So 4, 6, 8, and because there's a guy in there with 2, this guy at the back, they get an extra attack. So that's 9 attacks hitting on 3s. Ooh, that's pretty good. So that's 8 hits. So these are strength 4 versus toughness 4, so 4s to wound. Okay, 5 wounds. These are minus 2 AP, so 5 up saves. Well, there's 3 wounds in that unit, and they've lost 3 wounds. So the lightning claws have done it. Those guys are dead. Right, so we're now into this this combat here. So we've got the Rhino first, 3 attacks, 1 hit, 3 to wound, that's a wound, 3 up save, is saved. And then in return we've got 2 plus 1 for the chainsword, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 attacks back, hitting on 3s, 3 hits, wounding on 5s, 1 wound, and a 3 up save. Oh, we got a wound. Okay, so that's that Rhino down to 9 wounds. Right, same rules apply for this combat, I'm afraid. Too many dice, not enough hands. So 28 attacks into the Devastators, took out 1 Space Marine in their first round of combat. No damage done in return. Second round of fighting, they managed to take out the 2nd Space Marine and took a wound off the Sergeant. So that guy's now down to 2 wounds. Those of you that watch regularly will know that these guys are... So these guys are classed as Primaris Devastators, even though Primaris Devastators do not exist. So they've got the Primaris profile, 3 wounds on the Sergeant, 2 wounds on the standard troops. So that explains that one. Just gonna shove him in the middle like that. I think, no, actually we won't, because he's covering that objective. We'll just drag these guys forwards a little bit. There we go. So we're moving over to the Raptors next. That'll be the last combat of this corn turn. Right, so it's the Raptors and Intercessors next. Apologies, by the way, if you can hear some kind of radio squawking and crackling in the background. That was my mistake. I have now switched that off. So, Raptors. So Raptors get 2 attacks on the champion and 1 attack on the standard Raptor. We've got Power Sword, 2 chain swords and 2 standard attacks in there. So, so we're going to do the power sword first, which is on the champion. So he gets 2 attacks, hits on 3s, 2 hits, force to wound, 1 wound, -1 AP, so 4 up save. That is not saved. That is 1 dead intercessor. Okay, we've then got the 2 chain swords, hit on 3s, both miss. We've then got the 2 standard attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 4s, 3 up save, not saved. So there's another wound off one of the intercessors. Now attacking back, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks. 9 attacks hitting on 3s. Those misses. Wounding on 4s. So 3 wounds. And then 3 up saves. Okay, that's 2 dead raptors. So we're going to take away that one and that one. That is the end of the fight phase. So we're going to just quickly look at morale. So really the only unit that's got a morale roll is this one. So that's a 4, they lost 2, that's 6, leadership is 8, so they are good to go. I suppose I better do one for the intercessors as well, just because 5 + 1 is 6. They wouldn't have failed it anyway, to be honest. Okay, that is the end of the fight phase. In terms of points, Chaos have 1 point there, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. I'm going to measure that middle one though, because that could be a stalemate. 3 inches from the centre. No, it's a Chaos objective, so they've got 4 points this turn. Space Marines turn 4 coming up. Space Marines turn 4, movement is complete. The Rhino that was here has moved to there, just coming in behind these Space Marines just to try and either tie them up or potentially charge at that squad of Berserkers, just to kind of hold them off for a little bit longer. The Chaplain has moved towards the Hellbrute to help out Captain Aldous. This captain has moved around the back of the Dreadnought to look at charging into the side of the Berserkers. Obviously the Librarian is still there. No movement here. And then the Dreadnought, the Primaris Librarian and the Chaplain have turned to countercharge the Berserkers, just to try and tie them up and perhaps take a few out before the end of the turn. So that's movement over. Psychic phase is psychic phase for the Space Marines. Librarian is going to cast a smite. There's no sorcerer on the table at the moment, so that's successful. D3 mortal wounds for 3 mortal wounds. So 1, 2, 3. 3 Berserkers taken out. And we're also going to cast Might of Heroes on the Captain, which again goes off on a nice Might of Heroes on him. Okay, so Primaris Psyker is going to cast a Smite into the Berserkers, so needs a 6, which actually goes off as a Super Smite, so that's D6 mortal wounds. However, he also takes D3 mortal wounds himself for 2, so that puts him down to 2 wounds remaining. D6 mortal wounds. Oh, that's so disappointing. Command point reroll. Okay, that's better. So we've got 3. So we're going to take 1 chain axe, 2 chain axes, and 1 chain sword. There we go. Okay, also going to cast Psychic Scourge on the same unit. So this goes off on a 6. No! Okay, that's a failed cast, not to worry. Thinned out a little bit, so that's good. That's the end of the Psychic phase. Shooting is coming up next. So I've just rolled Space Marines Turn 4 shooting phase off camera. Virtually all anyway. And I'm glad I did, because it was terrible. So Captain, Mastercrafted bolt gun, shooting at the Terminators. Scored hits but no wounds. Hits but no wounds. Can't remember where he shot now. Oh, Hellbrute. Not surprising, really. Las Cannon on the Dreadnought. 2 shots. Hits but no wounds on the Hellbrute. No ranged weapons on the Librarian, but the Chaplain, again, hits but no wounds on the Hellbrute. Just because there's nothing else they can shoot at. The only other unit that hasn't shot is the Rhino, which is right at the other end, which is 2 shots with the Stormbolter, which are going into the Berserkers. So 2 shots hitting on 3s, and there you go. That is exactly what that round of rolling was like. So pretty awful, no damage or hits caused anywhere. Moving on, charge phase is next. Space Marines charge phase is over. Everything made it in basically, so Dreadnought, Librarian, Chaplain, all into that central combat. Captain is in here, Librarian is in, Chaplain is in there. Decided to go for the Berserkers in the end with this Rhino to tie them up. However, silly me, I didn't roll Overwatch, so I'm going to do that now. So there's 10 shots of Overwatch. 5, 10. And there's 1 hit. 5 to wound. Not a wound. Okay, so that was ineffective anyway, not surprisingly. So yeah, that's it for charges. Fight phase is coming up next. So I've just done a quick run through the Space Marine fight phase off camera. So 1 wound off this Rhino, 1 Berserker gone. The Rhino in the centre here has been destroyed, didn't explode. However, 1 more Warbike has gone, and there's a wound off this Intercessor. The Hellbrute, after being hit with the flaming sword of Aldous, has been knocked down to 1 wound. No wounds received in return. This squad of Berserkers has been whittled right down to the champion only, and the captain's taken an additional wound. The Desolate ones are down to 2 from the 10 or so that were on the field. Some really good attacks and hits and wounds from the Dreadnought, the Librarian and the Chaplain. Stalemate here, no damage on either side. And finally, just over here, 1 more Intercessor gone, but only 1 Raptor left. So that's the end of the fight phase for Space Marines. Looking at morale, can't fail here. No chance of failing there, only lost 1. So that's it in terms of the Chaos side. Morale here. They are, what did they lose? Did they lose 6? That makes 8, so they're good. And then here they lost. Okay, let me just check that. So what I can, from what I can see, that's a failed morale test. They've lost 6, so that's 10. Leadership is 8. So unless anyone kind of comments otherwise, that's the end of that squad of Berserkers. So that's the end of the Space Marines fight phase and the end of morale for turn number 4 in terms of points. That one is a stalemate again. No points for that one, and no points for that one. So 0 points for the Space Marines for this turn. Turn 5 for Chaos coming up. Right, so we're going into turn number 5 for the Khorne side. Just going to do some re-rolls, see what's going to come back onto the table. So we have got a squad of 10 Berserkers. not coming on. Helldrake, not coming on. And one Rhino, not coming on. So that is it for the Chaos side. Oh no, Sorcerer. Sorry, there's a Sorcerer there as well. Sorcerer is not coming on. So that doesn't bode well for the Chaos side, just purely because they've been relatively well depleted by the Space Marines. So still got some Berserkers over the far side there. Got an untouched squad of Cultists and Bloodletters. Still got a full squad of Terminators. Still got 2 Hellbrutes on the table, but one's on 1 wound and one is on 2 wounds. So this could be the turn that that the Space Marines pull back and draw level. We shall see how we go on. So that's it. Nothing coming back on this turn. So going into the movement phase next. End of the core movement phase. Just a little bit of consolidation that should have happened at the end of the last turn has gone on over here. Second Hellbrute has moved forwards to within charge range of the Terminator Chaplain. The Chaos Lord on Juggernaut has advanced to get into charge range of these Intercessors. Cultists have stayed on the objective. Nothing going on here. The Terminators have moved up to charge range of this group in the middle here. Advance from the Cultists and advance from the Bloodletters to get into charge range of these Space Marines. So that is the end of movement. No psychic phase, as the Sorcerer is not back on the table. So going into the shooting phase for Chaos next. End of the Chaos shooting phase. The Hellbrute managed to take a wound off of the Dreadnought, which is now down to 3 wounds. The Terminators scored hits but no wounds on the Dreadnought, as did the Cultists, hits but no wounds. And then over this side, the auto guns and the heavy stubber, again hits but no wounds on the Dreadnought. And finally this guy here, unfortunately out of range of everything. So that's the end of the shooting phase for Chaos. It's the charge phase next. So charge phase for turn 5 for Chaos. The Bloodletters are going to charge into this squad of Space Marines. They roll a 4. And that gets them in. Not very many of them in, but we'll be able to pile in shortly anyway. Okay, there we go. And then the Terminators, they're going to charge into, I think, the Dreadnought. So the Dreadnought's got Flamer first, which is 6 auto hits. So these are going to wound on a 4. Both saved. And the twin las cannon, no hits. So charge, they're easily in. So I'll try and keep them an inch away from everything else that they're not charging into. I suppose what I could declare is a multi-charge against the Librarian, because he has no ranged weapons anyway, so that's what we'll do, and that puts them both in combat. Captain will do a heroic intervention, so he'll get a free hit when the time comes. Okay, Cultists. Do we want to charge the Cultists in as well? No, we're going to leave those where they are for now. Hellbrute's going to charge into the Chaplain, who's engaged in combat, so that's good. He is in. And then up to this end, charge for the Lord on Juggernaut. He gets a 4. Command point, re-roll the 1. Awesomeness. So bearing in mind that's 2 inches, that really he needs a 5 or more to get in, so because of the pipe. So that is a failed charge. So that's the end of the charge phase. Fight phase is coming up. The first combat in the Chaos fight phase has resulted in this rhino being smacked from 5 to 0 wounds. It exploded, caused three mortal wounds there, 4 mortal wounds on the Chaos squad, 2 mortal wounds on the Lord, and knocked out the last warbike. Luckily, the intercessors were just out of range, so that was quite a devastating explosion. So there you go, that's the luck of the draw. So now moving on to this combat here. So left hand Hellbrute is going to hit the captain, so 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, all 4 hit. Strength 14 versus toughness 4 or 5, so 2s to wound. That's 3 wounds. It's minus 3 AP, 6 up. Ooh, okay, so it's 3 flat damage, so that one goes through. The captain's got a 4 up invuln as well. Now, I potentially should have rolled the previous roll as the 4 up invuln on anyway. I can't re-roll it, I know, but obviously that's really frustrating. So he's now down to 1 wound. Okay, he's going to hit back. So 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, all hit. These wounds on strength +2, so that makes it strength 6. So he's still wound on a 5. So there's 1 wound. It is minus 5 AP though, so that means it's an 8 up save, which he can't save. He's got 1 wound left. Does he explode? No, he does not. So he is gone. So it's this guy next. He's on 2 wounds. So 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. That's 3 hits. 2s to wound. That's 2 wounds, and they are both saved, I think. Let me just check. He's got a 4 up invuln as well. Yep, so he has a 4 up invulnerable save, so he is good. Now that's his turn to fight back. So 3 attacks, hitting on 2s, 5s to wound, no wounds. Okay, he is going to consolidate to there. Okay, let's go to this combat next. Remembering the captain has still got Might of Heroes until his next psychic round. Okay, so we're going to do the 4 lightning claws. So that's 4 plus 1 for the extra attack. So 5 lightning claws are going to go into the dreadnought. These are gonna wound on a 5, no wounds. Okay, I'm gonna re-roll that phase because I got a couple of those rolls wrong. So these actually hit on a 3. Okay, so 2 hits. Strength is 6. Strength is 4, so it's a 5 to wound. No wounds. Okay. Palmore next. 3 attacks, hits on a 3, that's all hit. Strength is +2, so it's still a 5 to wound, 2 wounds, minus 1 AP. I think that one is a wound. Yeah, that is a wound for 1 damage, so he's down to 2. And then we've got a power axe in there, which is 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, that's 2 hits. And then wounding on 5s, no wounds. Okay, so let's do the dreadnought hitting back. Oh, sorry, that was a hit. That was a miss. So strength 7, toughness 4, 3s to wound. That's 3 wounds, minus 3 AP for 3 damage. So that's basically 3 dead Terminators. Okay, Captain next, so 4 attacks plus 1, so 5 attacks sitting on 3s, re-rolling, 5 hits, strength is plus 1 as well. So these wound on 2s, they all wound, minus 2 AP, so 5 ups. Okay, so that is one more dead Terminator. And then finally the Librarian, who I believe is 4 attacks. My mistake, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. All hit, wounding on 4s. That's 2 wounds. And that's 1 hit and, sorry, 1 wound on the 6. So that guy is down to 1. Okay, Bloodletters next. So we've got the champion in there somewhere, who should really be at the front. So let's just swap him out. There we go. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks. Okay, 9 attacks sitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. He's minus 3 AP, so 6 up saves. That's 3 dead Space Marines. 1, 2, get into him, 3. Okay, and then we've got the Space Marines hitting back, so 3 attacks, so 4 attacks. Well, let's do the Rhino first. So the Rhino is 3 attacks hitting on a 6. That's nothing. Okay, so 4 attacks back into the Bloodletters. Hit on 3s. Wound on 4s. 6 up saves. 2 dead Bloodletters. Okay then, I'm going to move across into the middle. So champion first, who's going to swing at the Librarian. So 3 attacks, only 1 hits, 4, yeah, that's a wound, and it's not saved. Oh, so he takes 1 damage, and then the Berserker into the same target. 2 wounds, sorry, 2 hits, 2 wounds, another wound. He is gone. Okay, Chaplain next, 3 attacks, 3 hits, 3 wounds. Those are minus 2 AP, minus 1 AP, so this guy is gone. And then it's the turn of the Dreadnought, 4 attacks, 2s to wound, 6 ups, flat 3 damage, dead. Right, okay, consolidate 3 inches towards the nearest enemy. There we go, so we've just got to resolve that combat and then we're done. So the Raptor champion gets 2 attacks, both hit, no wounds, and then we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks back. These hit on 3s. Okay, so mostly all hit, and wound on 4s. So that's 2 wounds, 3 up saves. That is a dead Raptor. Okay, so that's the end of the fight phase. So, morale, we are looking at this unit here. We've lost 4. Oh, I can just reach one of those. So that is a failed morale test. Whew. Right, so they're all gone. And then this guy here, he's good. No, he's not. He's lost 4, so that's 10, so he's gone. And then these guys here have lost 2. So they're, oh, let me just check their leadership. Well, having read their rules, that appears that they are routed as well. So that's made quite a big difference to the layout of the table. So there's a big chunk of chaos gone from over here. All of these guys here are now off the table. So we've got 6 berserkers, Chaos Lord, 1 Hellbrute, 10 cultists, 1 rhino, 8 more cultists, and a Lord on Juggernaut. And that is it at the moment. So yeah, so that's the end of Chaos turn 5. We've got Space Marines turn 5 coming up, where they should be able to pull back a few command points. Victory points. So yeah, turn 5 for Space Marines coming up. Right, end of Space Marines movement. The 2 remaining intercessors have swung round to the side to hopefully get superiority on this objective, provided the Chaos Lord doesn't kill them both. The Dreadnought has moved into support in this combat, so looking at an easy charge there. Meanwhile, the Librarian and the Captain have moved towards the Chaos Cultists to try and thin them out a little bit. In the centre, the Dreadnought has turned to face the Cultists in this building, and the Chaplain has moved forwards to get within bolt pistol range. And finally, these 3 remaining intercessors have moved to be able to charge over the pipe at the Lord on Juggernaut. So that's the end of movement. Only 1 Psyker left on the board now for Space Marines, which is this guy here. So Psychic Phase is... So Psychic Phase, the Psyker is going to cast a Smite onto this unit of Cultists. Goes off on a 6, so D3 mortal wounds for 2. So that is 2 dead Cultists. And he's now going to cast Might of Heroes on the Captain. And that goes off on a 10, however, it's D3 more wounds for 3. Oh no, he's got 3 wounds left, so that's D6 mortal wounds on everything within 6 inches. So Captain's going to die. Yeah, that's 1 wound. D6 more wounds on these guys for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's dead, and he's dead. Oh, okay, Psychic Phase is over. Shooting is coming up next. End of the shooting phase. So not quite the end of the shooting phase actually, because these 2 guys here haven't shot. However, after the debacle of the Psychic Phase, we've managed to deplete this Cultist squad down to 1 wound remaining, and that's through combined fire from the bolt rifles on the intercessors, bolt pistol shot from here, las cannon from here, and heavy bolter, las cannon from here, and shots from the storm bolter on the Captain, who's not quite in combat yet. The only other 2 to resolve are these 2 here. So these 2 are going to shoot at the Chaos Cultists as they're too far away from this guy on 1 wound. So they're going to shoot from there to here. So that's 2 shots hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, and a 6-up save. No saves. So 1, 2. Okay, that's shooting phase over. Charges are coming up next. Okay, end of the charge phase. These guys are in, no losses to Overwatch. These guys are in, the Captain and the Dreadnought here. Still got combat going on over this side, and the intercessors have made it over the pipe and are in combat with the Chaos Lord, who caused no hits on Overwatch. Fight phase coming up next. End of the fight phase, and the sergeant is on his own now. He's got 2 wounds left. However, they did manage to take a wound off the Lord. The Hellbrute has gone through hits from the Dreadnought, didn't explode, and stalemate here. And then finally over here, the Intercessors have managed to get the Lord on Juggernaut down to 2 wounds and have lost no wounds in return. So that is the end of the fight phase. Just need to do morale for these, although I think they're going to auto pass anyway. Yeah, they're good. Okay then, so that's the end of Space Marines Term 5 in terms of points. Point for that one. Point for that one. No points for that one. So 2 points for Space Marines puts them on 8 against Chaos, who are on 11. Now, before we go any further, we need to roll to see if the game continues. So on a 3+, we go into turn number 6, and we do. So turn 6 for Chaos coming up next. So let's roll some units back on. Start with the Desolate ones. They are on. Helldrake is on. Hellbrute number 1 is on. Hellbrute number 2 is not on. Okay, and then squad of 10 Berserkers is not on. Oh, that should belong there. Squad of 5 Raptors is on. 3 Warbikes are on. And then we've got 2 Rhinos. 1 is on. Okay, 1 Rhino is back on. And finally, Sorcerer. The Sorcerer is back on. Okay, so we're going to get those guys. Oh, we've got a Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine squad as well, who are also back on. Okay, let's get those deployed, and then we will look at, sorry, I've forgotten one more, Bloodletters, not on. Okay, we'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, all those units are now back on the table. So we've got the Warbikes, Desolate ones, Hellbrute, and then the Chaos Space Marines, and one of the Rhinos. And then I did actually forget to roll for these guys, the Terminators, so rolled those and they came back on as well. And the Sorcerer, and then finally the Helldrake over here. So encirclement is a very real possibility here for the Space Marines, because the 3 Intercessors just here are potentially going to be well, I don't know, they might survive, they might not. I mean, that Lord's only got 2 wounds left on it, but it can deal out some pretty vicious damage. There's some Berserkers over here which are potentially going to make it into a melee here. So that Intercessor Sergeant is on his last legs, I think. Got wounds gone off the Captain and the Chaplain here as well. So really the only 2 kind of viable full strength units, or 3 viable full strength units, are the Chaplain and the 2 Dreadnoughts. So it could be that turn 6 is the last turn. So anyway, there we go. Chaos movement is now done. So we've got the Sorcerer back on the table. He's over here. So let's do Psychic. So Psychic phase, and the Sorcerer is going to cast a Smite on to these Intercessors. So it goes off on a 5, which that fails to go off. We're going to command point reroll that, and it still fails to go off. Okay, going to cast Infernal Gaze on the same unit. Goes off on a 5. That goes off. 3d6. Any 4s or above is a mortal wound. Okay, so we've got 1 mortal wound on the Intercessors. That's the end of the Psychic phase. Shooting is coming up next. So shooting phase, shotgun is going to shoot at the, oh, it can't, so that's a character. Oh, okay, not to worry. Stormbolter on this Rhino is out of range of anything that it can shoot at. Wow. Right, I think the only thing we've got that potentially can shoot is the storm bolters on these guys and the multi-melter, and possibly that random weapon that I can never remember what it's called, which possibly we might be able to shoot at that dreadnought. So let me just check ranges and I'll come back to you. Okay, so the Reaper autocannon, it's a heavy 4 shots, so these are going to hit on 4s. So we've got 3 hits, it's strength 7, so 4 to wound, 1 wound, and a 3 up. Saved. Okay then. And then we've got the combi bolters, so there's 2 of those. I keep calling them storm bolters, but they're combi bolters, so those are 2 shots each. 2 hits, 5 to wound, no wounds. And then the multi-melter, that's a miss. Okay, then we've got these guys over here. They can't shoot because those guys are in combat. These guys can shoot at this dreadnought, so there's a auto gun and an auto pistol in there, hitting on 4s. 1 hit, 5 to wound, doesn't wound. Right, come right around to the other side. Nothing there can shoot, so we've then got this guy and these bikes, because these guys are all 12-inch range. Okay, so multi-melter on this guy into that dreadnought, hitting on a 4, that's a miss. Okay, these guys are actually out of range, so cannot shoot, and as I said earlier on, those guys there can't shoot at anything, so that's the end of the shooting phase. Pretty ineffective, luckily for the Stone Dogs. And it's the charge phase next. So Chaos Cultists are going to charge into this combat, and they get a 5, so they are in. 1, 2, and then the Berserkers are going to charge in, and they are in on a 5. There we go. Okay, and to be honest, that's pretty much everything that is going to charge. And the other potential charge was the Cultist Champion into this combat, but to be honest, I don't want him to abandon that objective. And obviously these guys over here are too far away. So the only other thing that I've got that potentially could have charged is the Helldrake. I haven't actually fired the Helldrake weapon yet, so we need to go back to that. But yeah, nothing in range. So let's go back and fire the Helldrake weapon, and then we'll move on to the fight phase. So the Hades auto cannon is heavy 4, so these are going to hit on a 5. This is going into that dreadnought, because that dreadnought is on 2 wounds. So these are hitting on 5s, 2 hits, and this is a 3 to wound, 2 wounds. So it's -1 AP, so it's a 4-up save. And they are luckily both saved because they do 2 damage each, so no impact from that weapon. Okay, so fight phase is next. So fight phase, Rhino, 3 attacks, hitting on 6s, 1 hit, 3 to wound, 1 wound, 3-up save. Saved. And then we've got the Space Marines hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, 3-up save. Saved. Not going anywhere, those guys. Okay, I'm going to move around the table to the Intercessors next. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks. Let's do the Lord first. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, all hit. Wound on 4s, 2 wounds, and a 3 up save. Sorry, a 4 up save because of the axe. Those are saved. And then we've got the mount, 3 attacks, 2 hits, 1 wound, and is it a -1 AP to the save? Yes it is, so they're all good. 3, 7, hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, and the Lord has a 3 up save. 2 wounds, 2 wounds. He's gone. Okay, so these guys are consolidate towards the nearest enemy, which in this case is the cultist champion just over here. So we're just going to move those over. Good. Okay, let's move over to the final combat, which is going on up the top here. So I'm going to need a few more dice for this, I think. This could get a bit messy. So we have got Chaos Lord, 2 cultists, 6 berserkers. So we're going to do the cultists first. So that's 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s, with a 3 up save. He's good. Okay, the Chaos Lord, 4s, sorry, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, with a 5 up save. Sorry, Sergeant, you are dead. There we go. That is the end of the fight phase. So, no morale to speak of, no losses on the Space Marine side that have depleted a unit. The Chaos side have no depleted units. Everything is basically as it was at the beginning of that turn. So that is the end of Chaos turn 6, and that gives them an additional 1, 2 victory points. So that now puts them on 13. So at the end of the Space Marines first, turn 6 movement phase, Aldous and the Chaplain and the Dreadnought have moved up to this barricade just to be able to shoot into this big group here. Dreadnought staying on objective 2. 2 Space Marines just battling away against the Rhino. And then the Intercessors have not advanced, they moved. The Chaplain advanced, got 3, and moved up to the wall, so we'll hopefully be able to charge in just to try and clear this final cultist off of this objective. So that's it for Space Marines movement. We'll go into the shooting phase next and see where we end up. So shooting phase, 3 bolt rifle shots into the cultist. They hit on 3s and they wound on 3s, and it's a 6 up save, and it's not saved, so he is dead. Twin las cannons on that Dreadnought are going to shoot at this Rhino, so they hit on a 3 and they wound on a 3. Command point reroll, wounds on a 3. It's -3 AP, so it's a 6 up save. Okay, and then the heavy bolter on the same Dreadnought is going to shoot at the same Rhino, so hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, no wounds. So the las cannons on the Dreadnought are going to shoot at this Hellbrute, so that's 2 shots hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's correct. Winning on 3s, -3 AP, 6 up saves. How annoying. Okay, and then the flamer is going to fire across at the, well, it's going to have to be, I think, the cultists, because I don't know that the berserkers are in range. No, they're not. So d6 auto hits. Well, isn't that just typical? Does wound though, and they get a 6 up. Okay, so that's one more cultist gone. Then we've got storm bolters on the 2 characters. These are going to shoot into the berserkers. Hits, wounds. So that's only 2 wounds, 3 up saves. So that's one more dead berserker. Okay, that appears to be it for shooting for the Space Marines. So it's charges next. Okay, so the chaplain is declaring a charge into the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord's going to shoot his plasma pistol. Misses. We're going to add 2 inches on to the charge to get across this barrier. Okay, he is in. Okay, now that that charge is successful, yeah, the captain is now going to charge into the Chaos Lord as well. And he again is easily in, so we'll pop him around that side. And finally, the Dreadnought is going to charge the Chaos Lord as well. I think he's in as well. Yeah, easily in. So just going to have to assume that that cultist has got out of the way. So I'm just going to move him to there so that he is out of that combat. That's the only charges we're declaring this turn. So fight phase is next. We'll resolve this first and then we'll go over there. So Space Marines, 4 attacks hitting on 3s. That's 3 hits. Wounding on 5s. 2 wounds with a 3 up save. Okay, so they do manage to get another wound off. There we go. And then the Rhino, 3 attacks, no hits. So Chaplain first, 3 attacks hitting on 2s. That's 3 hits. Strength is +1, so strength 5 versus toughness 4. Those all wound, and they're -1 AP. So, oh. Okay, so that pops him down to 1 wound remaining. No, sorry, it does not. That kills the Lord because that is 2 damage apiece from the Crozius Arcanum. So that is Slay the Warlord, which gives the Space Marines an extra point at this stage. So happy days. Right, so that's the end of the fight phase. So let's just do a quick top up of points and then we'll roll for turn 7. So points wise, that's a chaos objective. So we get a point for the central one and a point for this one, plus Slay the Warlord, so that's 3 points. That puts the Space Marines on 11 at the end of turn 6. Against the Chaos side, who are on 13 at the end of turn 6. So the Chaos side are slightly ahead. Just going to roll to see if we go into turn 7 on a 4 up. We do not. So that is the end of the game, and it is a narrow Chaos victory. So in terms of the campaign so far, the Flames of Terror, it is now 2-1 to the Stone Dogs. Chaos side managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in this game. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a long one. I'm sweating, but that's it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.